Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm Bill. We're in the fantasy trip, In the Labyrinth by Steve Jackson Games. This video is going to be the beginning of the video where we start going over spells. And I'll just do 1 IQ per spell level. So say we'll do spells that are IQ 8 spells. We'll do all of them for one video. The IQ spells go all the way to 20. So some of these videos will be shorter because there won't be quite as many spells listed. But where we're going to start today is IQ 8 spells. And before that, let's go over a little bit of prerequisites about spells. A hero, that is any character not created as a wizard, can learn a spell, but the cost in IQ points on creation and in XP points afterwards is triple. So if you wanted to learn a spell as a hero character, say you're a thief and you wanted to know the knock spell to open up locked things, that would cost you 3 IQ points to learn it. So compared to talents, that would be a high-priced talent. Non-wizards, by definition, understand less about the spells they have learned. The GM is welcome to be creative in non-fatal ways when a hero tries a spell and misses it. But for all wizards, when they're taking magic spells, each magic spell costs them 1 IQ point to learn. And if you're familiar with D&D, they cast like a bard or a sorcerer. They know the spell and they just determine when they want to cast it and how many times they want to cast it based on in this case, based on the mana cost to cast the spell. So the first spell for IQ 8 is the Blur spell. It is a thrown spell. It is a defensive spell. Makes a subject harder to see, hear, and smell. Subtract 4 from dex of all attacks and spells against the subject of the spell. Costs 1 strength, 1 mana to cast, and 1 more each turn thereafter until it is turned off. It's a thrown spell, so you use the thrown rules for dex penalty if you wanted to put it on somebody further away from you, or you put it on yourself. Next is a detect magic. It is a thrown spell. Detect at any one item / being, weapon, door, figure, etc. Tells user whether the item is magic or has any spells on it. Does not identify the spells. Note, the GM makes the roll against your adjusted dex. If the roll is missed, the GM says it doesn't seem to be magic. Whether or not the item is magic. Costs 1 mana. Drop weapon. It's another thrown spell. Makes a victim drop whatever is in one hand. A weapon, a shield, or whatever. Will not make a ring or amulet fall off. Costs 1 mana or 2 mana if the victim's strength is 20 or more. A weapon or other object with immunity to this spell will never be dropped accidentally. A roll of a 17 does not affect it. Image. It's a concentration spell. Creates an image, see images and illusions, occupying 1 hex, costs 1 mana. Light. It's a thrown spell. Makes any small 3-inch or less item glow like a torch, any collar, for a full day. Will light up a ring, the end of your staff, your hand, etc. The wizard can make the light go out at any time, but must recast the spell to get it back. Costs 1 mana. And that's one of those essential spells as an adventuring party you would probably want to keep. That and Detect Magic. Those are 2 that I would always recommend. Now we're on to Magic Fist. This is a missile spell, so it uses the missile range rules for casting and hitting targets. It does a telekinetic blow, does 1d6 minus 2 damage for every mana point used to cast it. A maximum of 3. With minimum damage equal to that of the strength. So you can never get a negative on the damage. So if you used if you use 2 mana to cast it and you ended up with like a 1 or a 0 for damage, you actually did 2 damage. So the minimum damage it can do is essentially 1 per dice. You can also trigger traps or carry out other unstable manipulations within line of sight. A magic fist that does 6 or more points of damage before armor, shield, protection will also trip its target, making them fall down, unless they make a 3-die roll on strength or adjusted dex, whichever is higher. See the trip spell. The other thing with magic fist, this is more of a house rule, so if you want to use it, feel free to do so. If a giant is a spellcaster, their IQ can never get higher than 10. I put no cap on how much mana they could put into a magic fist. But that said, they don't have a lot of attack options spell-wise, and they wouldn't have a lot of spells in their repertoire because their intelligence will never get higher than 10, their IQ. Slow movement. It's a thrown spell. Has a victim's movement allowance for 4 turns. Slow spell does not multiply, but do add. 2 slow spells do not reduce a victim's speed to a quarter speed. They keep him at half speed for twice as long. Costs 2 mana. The staff spell. This is very essential if you're a wizard. This spell is used to make any piece of wood into a staff. Strength cost is 5 mana, so unlike other spells, the staff spell can be learned only by a wizard. The staff is a very mark of wizardry. A wizard does not have to have a staff, but if he wants one, he must know the staff spell to create one. The wizard need not create the staff during play, except to replace a broken one. If he knows the staff spell, he starts with a staff, without spending any mana to create it. Regardless of what the staff looks like, rod, wand, quarterstaff, etc., it is an occult weapon that does 1 die of damage, front hex only, when the wizard points with it. The wizard spends 1 strength and makes a regular die roll to hit. If the staff does not have to touch its target in order to deliver its flare of magical energy. Interesting. I think this is new compared to the older rules I have, so I'm finding that very entertaining. Making a physical attack with the staff as a weapon does not cost strength, so it doesn't cost any mana to make a physical attack with it. You may keep your staff in hand at all times, even when casting spells. It gives no advantage or disadvantage. A staff can be affected by a drop weapon or break weapon spell. If anyone picks up your staff against your will, it explodes, doing the fool who touched it 3d6 damage. A dead wizard staff eventually becomes safe to touch. You don't know when. There are 5 staff spells of increasing power and IQ requirements. Each level of staff is the prerequisite to the next. So the new staff spells is, I believe there was only 2 in the older version of this game. So that now that there's 5 of them, that's entertaining. I'm very much looking forward to the higher IQ version of them. Let me know what you think of the IQ 8 spells in the comments below. Next time we do the fantasy trip filming, it'll be IQ 9 spells. So until we meet again, guys.